Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, babies in their diapers, welcome to the Tiberius Show with your host, Tiberius Boy.
That's me, Tiberius.
Today, we're going to talk about some very awesome stuff. We have a video about paying back your student loans, a book about a new girl joining best friends started running a babysitting business, and we have a totally awesome guest. Today, we have the one, the only, the amazing Jb Webb. JB is an executive producer and radio personality at WJBW Networks.
Awesome. Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. It's awesome.
No problem. And today, we're going to start off with the video game of the week, and this is going to be Bills.
And now it's time for the video game of the week.
Today's video game is Payback. This game is about next-gen personal finance. This is a website that teaches you about personal finance. You can find it at ngpf.org and click on the arcade button. And it is free.
And we love free. Do we love free?
We do.
We love it.
So you start the game and they teach you how to play. But I will give you a shorter version. You are a college student and you have to start paying for student debt. So then you have to put in a random GPA or some other things, and then you have to choose your school that you will be. Next, you are now in school and have whatever the first amount of school, which is normally around $8,500, in debt. And then they give you choices that can then make you add money to your debt or earn money to pay off the debt. Also, there are 4 different bars at the bottom or side if you're on a phone. Study/focus, communication with other people, happiness, and then debt.
Yep. Yup.
Next, summer comes around and you can either sit back and relax or get a summer job. I always get the job because it takes $5,000 off of your debt for school. And then the next year starts again, and then $8,500 again to go to the school after summer is over. And then you have to pay off that debt too. This goes on for 4 years of schooling, and you get to make choices and choices and even more choices. Also, your friends ask you if they want to go to dinner every day. And I always say, no, I can't take the offer. But then I go and study instead in order to get my study level up. Because, normally it's low.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And also, your happiness goes down too.
Oh.
But I always get that up. Because you know me, I'm always positive.
Yeah.
I got my dad to play, and he was very good at it. He at the end saved $10,000, and I always saved $25,000.
Nice.
Or otherwise, they give me money.
That's good.
Well, I give Payback 10 out of 10 stars because I really like this game, getting my college debt questions down to 0. I really enjoy that it's challenging and keeps me on my toes. My dad said it was a good way to learn about how college works and the benefits and pitfalls of spending your money in different places.
Yeah, that's smart. It prepares you for the future. I mean, that's a great game.
And now it's time for the book of the week, The Babysitter's Club, Dawn in the Impossible 3. This book is written by Anne Martin. Let me read you the back of the book. In fact, JB, would you like to do the honors?
Oh, wow. Yeah, of course. That's awesome. So, Dawn Schaefer is the newest member of the Babysitter's Club, even though she still is adjusting to life in Stony Brook after moving from sunny California. She is eager to accept her first big job, but taking care of the 3 Barrett kids would be too much for any babysitter.
Well, this is an error book that's worth 1 whole point. It's rated for 2nd grade and 7th month. That is not a lot of points because it's a graphic novel, but the subject matter is made for teens.
That's cool.
So in book 5 of the Babysitter's Club, we start off with Dawn arriving at the Barrett's place so that she could babysit the mom and says, I gotta go fast for an interview, that the mom says. Okay, so keep an eye on all the kids and try to do a couple chores for the house. Thank you, but I gotta go fast. Bye. That's basically what the whole mom says.
Oh.
So then she works multiple jobs for the Barretts, and then she gets really tired. And then one time, the kids were getting dressed to go outside, and it was a rainy day, so they were putting on their raincoats. And one was already dressed, and then, he went out to go ahead and go play, and got picked up by the dad that was divorced. And Dawn didn't know anything about that because the mom wasn't helping her out. And then she did not know where the kid was, so she got scared and called the mom for the help. And then they both resolved it. Luckily.
That's a good overview.
I give the Babysitters Club Dawn and the Impossible 3 12 out of 10 stars because I like when she called the mom up to tell her the situation, that she needed help her out with some of the info about the kids. Because Dawn almost fed a baby something that they were allergic to.
Oh, boy. Yeah, that's big trouble. If that happens.
Big trouble.
Big trouble.
And now it's time for an interview of an interesting person. Today's case is going to be so much fun. Today we have the one, the only, the amazing Jb Webb. JB is an executive producer and radio personality at WJBW Networks.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Tiberius. So glad to be here. You do great work, so I'm honored to be interviewed in the interview chair in the studio. So happy.
Thank you. So first off, how are you enjoying being on the show?
Man, it's really cool. You guys have this whole place set up. It's amazing. I mean, I'm blown away. It's network quality, professional grade cameras, the microphone, the equipment, the placing, the lighting. Just very impressive. So I'm happy to be here.
Thank you. Okay, so to start off, you are listed as a radio personality and an executive producer.
Yeah.
For most of us that don't already know, what is an executive producer?
So an executive producer really kind of is the glue, whether it be money or talent or time. A lot of really what kind of your dad does, keeping everything together, making the show cohesive. And again, it could range from just being the money with an executive producer or really kind of getting your hands dirty and being a part of the show. A great example of that, would be someone like Jack Bradshaw on 104.1. He's on the show, but he's also doing all this stuff in the background. So it's a very important role, and it can range depending on the individual. Some person, they may just want to give the money and kind of sit back and let people make, the smaller decisions, and they make the bigger decisions. Or an executive producer could really be down into the weeds, the dirt and grime of what's going on every day. Mm-hmm. So it really ranges, but it's always something fun. You're taking something, that is nothing, and you're turning it into something.
Yeah, that's
you're
true.
creating content. So it's super fun.
Mm-hmm. So how long have you been a radio producer?
So I've been doing it for about 20 years. I started as an intern on a radio station in in Daytona Beach. It was called I-100, and it was very fun, And so I've always kind of been a little bit in radio and hospitality and whatnot. I've always used my voice to, bring revenue into my home. I guess is a good way to say it.
Okay. So what got you interested in working with radio?
Well, when I was just graduating high school in Ormond Beach, I was able to get into a radio station, an AM radio station, and it was a really great opportunity for me. They were using reel-to-reel, which I don't know if you're familiar with that, but when you would make a commercial, you would record it on actual physical tape, and then you'd have to go into the splicing room and know exactly where the parts were and cut out the mistake, and you bring in the audio, and hey, look, I made, so you physically had to do it instead of digitally.
Yeah.
It is totally different, but that's what first got me into it. My stepmother, my stepmother, we were all going to a church, and Presbyterian church in Ormond, and she knew a guy at the radio station and said, hey, my stepson really has a great voice and he loves radio. And boom, he just got me in, and I was making, at the time, this was 1990, and I was making $6 an hour, doing it. So, but that's how I started. That's what got me into radio, working at the AM radio station right out of high school.
Nice.
Yeah.
So what is the best part about working in the radio business?
Well, I think it's, for me, that you get to meet a lot of people. You get to listen to a lot of people's stories and identify. So when I made my show, that's really the foundation, is what we're doing now. You're asking me questions and I'm answering them, and you're listening, and we're going back and forth. So I just love the fact that a lot of problems can be solved with communication. So this whole thing that I do with my network, it endorses good communication. Mm-hmm. With the hope of solving some problems or identifying, where things can be improved in some cases, or where people just have passion, you know?
So does it take a lot of training to be a producer?
Well, you definitely have to know the entire, well, is it a fulcrum? Is not an entire, fulcrum is like the
Balancing
movement.
point?
Yeah, the entire range movement of something like a, an anchor.
Lever.
Or lever. It's the fulcrum. So in saying that, you have to know not every single part of the business, but you have to know the business. So, it's on the job training, and, you have to have a basic skill of working with people. Mm-hmm. But
Yeah,
that's
that
a
makes
good question.
sense. Now, how does that make the world a better place?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I was thinking about that too, because I believe, again, through communication, we become closer together instead of further apart. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of the times in today's world, people just need to talk with each other, and they can come to these miraculous solutions that they otherwise would not if they're closed off to it. So it's really the good communication, I believe, that helps the world in general.
Okay. Now, you are both a producer and a radio personality. What is the difference between the two jobs?
Oh, so, the producer is kind of just another little hat I wear, with the radio personality. So that's the main thing. But I'm laying out what we're going to go through on any given episode. So I've got a caller arranged. I'm going to read about this piece. We're going to do news. So it's all slated out. And what I'm surprised I don't see here is like a time clock. A lot of radio shows have a time clock when you go in, and you'll see 3 minutes after the hour, it starts the intro, and then you cut away to commercial, take some calls. So that's kind of the planning cycle of producing. And, of course, being the radio host, you have to, keep everything on point. So when someone's talking a little bit long, like myself, you sometimes have to, all right, well, that's an awesome answer, and we're going to move right over. We do everything live, so it gets a little scary sometimes, and sometimes you'll hiccup, make a little noise, something unusual, and you just got to kind of leave it in. So the live aspect's a little bit different, and that kind of gives you a little bit of nervousness and maybe that energy of, hey, we're doing this live, and so that's what I love about what we do at WJBW Networks.com, and I think that's...
So what does JB stand for?
So my name is Joel Brian Webner. So what I did when, I was younger and you got onto the radio, they originally called me Joel Ryan. That was my radio name, Joel Ryan, here on the AM radio station. And so I was like, I don't like that. I like Jb Webb. So when I got a chance to be on another radio show and I could pick my own radio name, I said, it's going to be just a variation of my name, Jb Webner. Just cut off that NER and add a B, and that's it.
Nice.
Yeah. So it is my name, and it's also my radio name.
Nice.
Yeah, thank you.
So, now I know that you produced and worked with a number of shows. Which is that one show that you were most proud of, and why?
Oh, wow. Well, I will tell you what. One time, we got to have a pretty big name on our show, and I was really excited about it. I hadn't really had such a big name, but it was Tommy Stinson was his name, and he used to play for Guns N' Roses and the Replacements, which a lot of people may or may not know. So he really has a rich music history, Tommy Stinson. And so we got an interview with him, and I was kind of geeking out. So I was very nervous. And then there was actually, because we do it live, there was an area we were not supposed to talk about. His brother had passed away, so my co-host wasn't briefed and brought up that issue, that taboo issue we were not supposed to bring up. So even though it was a great memory, it was also very stressful because I had somebody who was kind of, shooting information at the guests that they didn't want to be talking about. Yeah, they didn't want to talk about that. And anyway, but a little crazy story with that.
Okay. So what is the best part about working in the radio business?
Well, I mean, I'll go back to the fact that you get to meet a lot of great people. You get to have your voice heard. People actually listen to what you're saying. So I think it's important, part of communication just as a human being. So that's my favorite part, getting to interact with people, getting to learn about people, hear their stories, and give them a platform to talk, to get their story out there.
Okay. So what is the hardest part about working in the radio business?
Well, frankly, it would be like if, for example, we had to reschedule this session one time. Oh boy, somebody cancels last minute. That's the word. If I were to say at 3:55, hey Joe, I can't make it. That would be, so you understand that.
Especially because afterwards I had a Pepsi qualifiers to do.
Yeah.
But then hurricane screws everything up.
The hurricane came. Yeah, that's why I had to cancel. Yeah, exactly. So that is the word when you expect it and then it doesn't happen. You've got to be able to pivot and understand. Okay, hey, we're going to talk to you. I'm going to interview this lamp.
Yeah. Well, if you could think of one thing that would make your job easier, what would it be?
Oh man, probably having your dad as a producer. Honestly, having somebody with the chops, having a producer. Honestly, somebody kind of take away where I could just be the host and ramble and talk. We could talk for 4 hours, and hey, everybody's pushing the buttons. I don't have to worry about commercial breaks or anything like that. Because a producer will give you a sign like your dad's been doing, you holding up this, and so that would be the one thing. Yeah, going, I'm drowning. You're killing me. No. But that would be the one thing I would say I would love to have on my side is someone with the technical chops to do all the production. Like, okay, we're coming back in 3, 2, 1, and you. Right.
Okay. Yeah, that's honestly true.
Yeah.
But those people that use their daughters and sons for their business to promote them?
Okay. Right.
I kind of use my dad.
You're using it.
It's instead of my dad using me, I use him.
Okay. Well, you guys are working together. It's awesome.
It's I use him to promote my show instead
of
awesome. Other people.
I can't believe all the stuff that you have done. And I got to interview you on my show a while ago, which was awesome. And I mean, again, the very thing that you're doing. When I was young, this was all a tape recorder. Just one little tape recorder and your imagination. If we had all this equipment, I don't know what would have happened, with my life. So, to see that you're doing this, I just want to be someone that can express to you, keep going. There's a big thing. Well, I mean, you're doing a great job, and I know sometimes it maybe feels like work or whatever it is, but what you're learning now is so important and will benefit you your entire life. And it's that ability to do exactly what you're doing now is listen and then come back with, having a conversation. The ability to have a conversation will put money in your pocket. If you know how to listen to people and you're selling something, like, I'm selling something, someone's telling me anything. It could be anything, if I'm trying to sell
I'm at
this
school
phone,
selling snacks.
Are you for real?
I do.
Oh, you do? Okay. So you get it. Yeah. So you get what people want and you understand why they want it, and then it's easier to sell it.
Now, as a professional in the business, I'm sure you've met a lot of famous people. Were you nervous when you met them?
Yeah, I'll tell you, it is hard sometimes to quell your geeky fanness. You meet someone, you fumble over your words, maybe you speak to them, and then I wish I would have said something, and I forgot to say it. So, I mean, I get a little nervous, but at the end of the day, I remember they're just a person like me,
Except really famous.
Yeah, except really famous. Yeah, exactly.
So what is your greatest achievement while working in the radio business?
I think it is simply that there has been a really clear connection with people. I love that my show brings people together. And maybe it's people with like dissenting views. One believes something, someone believes something else, and they can at least come together and talk about it on the show. So I've had people in the studio that didn't really like each other, but at the end of the show, because we were live on air, that synergy and crackle of being live really kind of, makes it so, if I say something, it's out there forever. I can't take it back, So it's kind of...
Ooh.
Yeah, like if you, ooh, is that going to be left in? I think so. Ooh, ah, ee. So you've got to, when you do it live, you've got to be able to, boom, be succinct, get right in there and ask the question. And, there have been scenarios where, people kind of get a little bit upset or what have you. And it's not like we're Jerry Springer or any kind of, we gotcha media journalism. But when people, bear their soul and tell you something, I'll tell you honestly, Tiberius, you're a young guy, but I've interviewed people and then they've passed away. So having the conversation, it posthumously, being able to hear their voice again, that was huge. So that for me is really one of the biggest things I would think, that really came from everything I've done over the last decade.
Mm-hmm. And what is the greatest challenge that most people in radio are dealing with today?
Boy, if you're in radio, you're probably one way, making like six figures, a lot of money, or the other way, making total. So there is no real middle ground. So I think having a middle class in radio where somebody can, make a living and they're getting kind of eaten up by robots, intelligent, artificial intelligence coming in and, being able to pull tracks based on listenership and stats that, humans can't see. So I think those are some of the big challenges facing general radio industry. So as long as we keep people involved, I think people, that's again, the important thing is it's all about people.
That's true. Now, what is the craziest situation that you've run into while producing radio shows?
Oh, man. I'll tell you real quick. The worst, craziest thing was we were recording an interview, and I forget the exact person it was with, but it was so embarrassing because we dropped off. We were live, broadcasting live, and then like there was a power shortage, everything dropped off. I was so embarrassed, and I had to go, and so it wasn't recorded, it wasn't broadcasting, and I had to go tell the very important person. I said, I'm so sorry. So that was very embarrassing when something like that happens, and that's all parlay that back into the fact that, I'm the producer and the host. So maybe if I had a producer, it could have prevented that.
Only if I have like a, what's it called? The power thingy where it can, like a power battery where it saves power.
Yeah.
Saves
like
power.
a battery backup. That's a great idea.
It's
yeah.
great
And
idea.
I didn't have that. You're right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Should have had it.
Good point. No, good point. I mean, you got to prepare for the worst.
That is
Hope
true.
for the best, prepare for the worst.
Mm-hmm. Well, what advice would you give to my listeners if they wanted to grow up and work as a radio producer?
Wow. I would say, first of all, try to get on the Tiberius show to understand, try to be an intern somewhere, try to, make your own podcast, record your own, get an idea, write it out, create a clock.
Come to YCS at 1411 Edgewater Drive. It's only $100 for 1 hour of audio.
They can do it here, which is awesome. Yeah, so I would say that's a great, segue right into that. Get over here and get some testing with some real equipment.
Yeah.
Good point.
Now, I wrote a radio show and podcast that talks about God in my Line Strong segment.
Awesome.
How do you include God's message in your work?
That's a great question, and I feel just by the weekly correspondence, the discipline of making sure that I'm talking with someone and listening to them, I am reflecting God's love.
Okay, makes sense. Now, what was the biggest mistake you ever made, and how did it change you as a person?
Oh, boy. Like the biggest mistake even outside of the radio stuff or just radio kind of affiliated? Or?
Ever.
Oh, man. I don't know if I could even... I would say it dealt with losing my temper. When I was younger.
Okay.
When I was younger, I kind of had a temper. And so...
Short temper or long temper?
it was short temper. So it was good. Yeah, it was like, what? And so I think conquering that, short...
Can I get a little bit longer?
I was too quick to anger.
Yes.
So I want to be slower to anger, you know. So as I was younger, I was very quick to anger. So that was one of the things kind of ruined my life.
0 to 240, you wanted it to be like 0 to 60.
Yeah,
You know?
exactly.
It's like, But do you play video games? And if you do, what's your favorite one?
Oh, yeah. So I do play video games. I have played video games, and I get into a rut of playing just an RPG over and over again. So the game I'm playing is XCOM. If you're familiar with that, you get a little troop of guys, and you go. It's a RPG, and it's a sequential thing, and you come back to the base, and you build up your team. So I like those kind of things.
Strategy.
Yeah, strategy, RPG.
So, what is your favorite book to read?
Oh wow, the Bible. Honestly,
Good
the
choice.
Bible is amazing. There's so many stories in there, and I discipline myself to read it a couple times a day. Mm-hmm. So, I would have to say the Bible.
What's your favorite verse?
Well, I think I go back to the very beginning, Genesis 1, where it talks about the whole creation. In the beginning, yeah. And it describes how everything came to be. So that fascinates me.
Yeah.
I believe in science as well. I understand the need to have to prove something, but that is the whole side of the faith side that, you can't necessarily prove it. So I enjoy, and I believe, the past 5,000-6,000 years, if we've got records and documents and things that we can read about the past few thousand years, we should be doing that. So in my opinion, scientists should be digging into the Bible to get answers. I think if they looked at it from, hey, let me go ahead and just look at it from the perspective of I believe everything was created, I think they'd find out a lot more stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So, okay. Now, can you tell me that one story, remember, this is a kid's show, but that one story, well, that you're not supposed to tell me about?
The one story I'm not supposed to tell you about?
You can tell me.
Well, let's see. That's very tricky. Well, we had Bad Santa in the studio, and Bad Santa is a local guy. He goes around with a group of Bad Santa and the Angry Elves. Anyway, he came over to the house, and he is an actor. And he was portraying something, and he really got upset, Tiberius, and I really thought he was serious upset. And so it was very embarrassing for me and for him, I guess, but he kind of was laughing at me because I really thought he was serious, and he was really mad, and I was, oh no, are you okay? What can we do to help you to make you feel better? And so I kind of went up, and he's like, no, I'm just acting. So anyway, that would be an experience where I had some people in studio, and things kind of got out of hand, and I could share that with you. There's a bunch of other stuff I cannot share with you, but I'm sure you understand.
Yeah. Well, is there anything else you think my listeners should know about you?
Ah, boy. I don't know. I like to help people. So, if there's anything I can do to help people, I will do it. I will share a story. I just got married. My wife and I got married at the Maitland Art Center, and we did it a Renaissance theme. So we dressed up in old Renaissance clothes and whatnot, and we had a great wedding. But as we were driving to the home to have kind of a reception, there was somebody with a car along the side of the road, and one of my best men, the guy who married me, the priest guy, was shocked and amazed because I was driving and I'm all dressed up in Renaissance, and I pull over to the side of the road and I help this person push their car to a place where they could take care of it. Oh, wow. And the guy, but my friend was like, wow, I was so impressed with that because it's your wedding and you stopped to help somebody. I said, but yeah, have we just met? That's who I am. Anyway, so that's what I would say. Have we just met? I try to help people.
All right. So, well, do you have a Facebook for my listeners to follow you?
They can follow me on Facebook. The content might be a little bit, more adult. No, it's WJBW. WJBW. Yeah.
Networks.
WJBW. Just search WJBW on the Facebook, and you can find it
Webb.
there. Or Jb Webb. Yeah. There you go.
I don't literally follow him, but.
Yeah. Please don't follow. Don't stalk me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what is that one question that you think I forgot to ask you?
I don't know. Where am I from? Am I from Ohio or Florida? Where am I from? That's the one question you didn't ask me.
Okay. Well, where are you from?
Oh, okay. So I was born in Ohio, and then I lived in New York for a few years, and then I moved down here to Florida.
Okay.
So a little bit all over the place.
Nice.
Yeah, I lived in Tennessee for a while, but we'll talk about that. We don't talk about that.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you so much, JB, for being my
Hey, thank
special
you.
guest. Can you stick around for Math Corners?
This was awesome. Yeah, I think I can. It was great. Thank you.
Tiberius's favorite subject, it's Math Corners!
Thank you so much, JB, for helping me with Math Corners. This week, we're going to some more multi-step word problems. My dad is always good at finding new problems for me to solve. Today, we're going to talk about a cafe.
Okay.
Here we go. Autumn and Chuck had breakfast at a coffee shop.
Okay.
Muffins cost $1 each, and fruit cups cost $4 each. Autumn had 1 muffin and 1 fruit cup, and Chuck had 2 muffins and 2 fruit cups and a cup of coffee. If their total bill was $18.50, how much was the cup of coffee?
Ah, that's a great question. So the only variable is that cup of coffee. Mm-hmm. Okay, great.
Now, this is a real-world problem because people do love to go to coffee shops. This also has a lot of parts to it. So first you have to figure out the total cost of the items, and we know the prices for. So we just add them together. So they spent $1 each on 3 muffins, so that is $3. And they spent $4 each on 3 fruit cups, so that is $12. So add the $3 from before, and then you get a total of $15. So that is the items that we know about. The missing variable is the cost of the cup of coffee.
Yeah.
So now we know the total bill was $18.50. So we'll just subtract the $15, and now we get, drum roll please, $3.50.
Boom.
That's just a lot for 1 cup of coffee.
That is.
Hope it was a detailed cappuccino. So, GB, do you ever buy stuff at a store without knowing the prices?
Oh, I have before, yes. Some things are market price, so it can vary or fluctuate.
Mm-hmm. Now, JB, my teacher said that I would use math every day. Do you use math in your work?
That's a great question. I do actually use math every single day, doing sales and working in technology and communicating with folks. I do.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much, JB, for your help with Math Corners.
My pleasure. Thank you.
And now it's time for the Heart of a Lion. As you know, we talk about the qualities of living by the heart of a lion, which stands for leadership, integrity, obedience, and nobility. This week, we're going to talk about obedience. For me, I think obedience is being fully committed to doing what is pleasing to God. The qualities of obedience are compliance with a good attitude, respect for the laws. You know when someone is obedient when they follow instructions willingly and truly. Well, this week I was going bowling and my dad was driving me there. I have noticed this a few times, but this time I took special care to pay attention. At certain spots on the road, there are signs that say no U-turns. And guess what my dad does? He still U-turns. So this time I called him out on it, since it was not being obedient. He explained that the signs were because U-turns were usually unsafe, but he only does it when there's no other cars on the road. I explained that you were supposed to obey even when no one's looking, and that's integrity as well. He was not amused, but this was a good example of obedience, or the lack of. Oh, and I hope he does not get too mad when he hears this one. So, JB, did you see or use obedience at all this week?
Oh, yes, for sure. So I am married, so I help my wife. She asks for, I do have to be obedient and faithful. You know, that's another thing too. But yeah, my wife asks for help or needs something or can't do something. You know, you've got to be sensitive and aware. And hey, maybe I can just do that. It's easy for me. Let me help you, kind of a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Of all of the Heart of a Lion virtues, which do you see the most?
So, give them to me again. L.
Leadership,
I.
integrity, obedience, nobility.
Nobility. Wow.
So which do you see the most?
Which do I see like in the world every day?
Yeah. Which one do you see the most?
I mean, maybe I would have to say the integrity. You know, a lot of folks that I work with where they could make one decision, they make the right decision, you know, or, you know, people, basically walking down the street. Well, sometimes, you be at a stop line. Somebody needs a dollar or something. They're asking for money, you know. So that's giving, being strong. Anyway, so I would say integrity.
We should always try and be lying strong in everything we do, shouldn't we?
Yeah, I would agree with you. It's a great philosophy. It's a great way to look at life. Totally.
And that's our show, folks. I want to thank the one, the only, the amazing Jb Webb for being on my show. It has been so much fun talking to you today. I think we learned a lot about what it's like to be a radio producer and a personality.
Thank you. My pleasure. That was awesome. Great production, great show. You have a lot of great energy, and I think you're going to keep doing great things. So my pleasure to be here. Thank you.
No problem. Also, you can find me on Facebook and Instagram at The Tiberius Show. And please be sure to visit The Tiberius Show on YouTube and subscribe. Also, be sure to listen to us next week on The Tiberius Show with your host, Tiberius Boy. That's Rap and Booyah.
See tiberiusshow.com.
You can call him at 407-801-2667.
Wait, you are not Chuck.
My dad can help when people get hurt. He loves to help people.
If you are ever injured at work or in a car accident, you should call my friend Chuck.
You can call him at 407-801-2667.
The website again is cwsmithlaw.com.
Offices, Orlando.
Does it actually have that much W's?